What if the ghosts of the past aren't content with just haunting, but want to finish what they started? It was a cool autumn evening in Salem, and an oppressive stillness enveloped the forest. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. I wandered deeper into the shadowed woods, seeking solace from the turmoil of the world, unaware that I was about to trespass upon a realm of ancient darkness. The trees had always whispered to me, offering a twisted kind of solace, as though the roots themselves were tangled with my veins. My bloodline was bound to these cursed woods, where shadows held secrets too ancient to forget. My great-grandma's screams had long faded into the wind, burned alive as a witch, but her torment still lingered here. Perhaps I wandered into these darkened paths, not for peace, but to finally understand the darkness she carried and the one I've always felt growing inside me. The trees shifted as I moved, their limbs curling like fingers reaching for me. No matter which path I took, it led me deeper. The woods watched, ancient and patient, pulling me closer. As I forged ahead, a flicker of light caught my eye, beckoning me closer. Initially, I dismissed it as the playful glow of a campfire, but as I approached, an unsettling feeling gnawed at my gut. This was no innocent gathering. The light pulsed with a malevolence that made my skin crawl. I could hear faint murmurs, words swirling through the air like haunted whispers of the damned. Emerging into a clearing, I was met with a sight that stole my breath. A massive pyre blazed at its center, flames dancing like twisted spirits in a macabre ballet. The wood crackled and hissed, sending embers spiraling toward the night sky, which was cloaked in a velvet darkness. Surrounding the pyre were figures cloaked in flowing black robes, their faces shrouded in shadows. They moved in sync, their chants weaving a haunting melody that chilled my spine. My heart raced. I was acutely aware of Salem's blood-soaked history, the witch trials that had condemned so many innocent souls to fiery graves. Yet here I was, a reluctant spectator in the very echo of that dark past. The figures continued their incantations, raising their hands toward the heavens as if invoking something ancient and sinister. I caught glimpses of their faces, eyes burning with fervor, cheeks hollow with fanaticism. They spoke of a witch, a woman marked by their delusions, whose mere existence was said to curse the land. I felt an inexplicable dread settle over me, a weight pressing down that made it hard to breathe. My gaze was drawn to the edge of the pyre, where a figure was being dragged forth, a woman, bound and gagged, her eyes wide with terror. I had seen her in town before, a gentle soul who tended to the sick, her laughter a balm against the growing darkness of society. She was no witch. Desperation surged through me, I couldn't just stand by, a silent witness to this atrocity. My fingers trembled as I pulled out my phone, hoping to capture the truth. The glow of the screen illuminated my face, a beacon in the suffocating darkness, and I felt exposed, like a moth drawn to a flame inviting danger. "Stop!" I shouted, voice cracking under the weight of my fear. The chanting ceased, and all eyes turned toward me. I felt their fury wash over me like a tidal wave. Suddenly, the chanting stopped. Every robed figure froze in place, their heads turning toward me in eerie unison. A man lunged toward me, the glint of a knife flashing in the firelight. My heart leapt into my throat as I stumbled back. He was almost upon me, and for a brief moment everything seemed to slow down. Was this it? If you're spooked, take a second to subscribe, maybe share it with a brave soul. Laughter erupted from the cloaked figures, a sound that pierced the stillness of the night. "She is a witch. You do not comprehend the darkness she brings," I pleaded, desperation rising in my chest. "You're repeating the sins of Salem's past." The woman's eyes locked onto mine, her gaze pleading for salvation. I could see the flicker of hope in her despair. "Look at her. She is not your enemy. You're letting fear dictate your actions." I turned to her, expecting terror in her eyes, but instead they gleamed with a quiet, unsettling awareness. The fear had melted away. Her lips curled into a thin, twisted smile. "You've always been part of this," she whispered, her voice soft but dripping with malice. I just hadn't realized it. I could save her, but it wouldn't be easy. They wanted something in return, something only I could give. But am I willing to pay the price? A murmur rippled through the crowd, doubt beginning to seep into their hearts. But before I could decide, a shadowy figure lunged, knife raised high. Panic clawed at my throat as I turned and fled, adrenaline propelling me deeper into the suffocating shadows of the haunting forest. Branches whipped against my skin, and the darkened shapes of trees loomed like specters, whispering warnings of the fate that awaited me should I look back. The flames roared behind me, but I pressed on, desperate to escape the evil that clung to the air. Finally, I broke free onto the main road, gasping for breath, the night echoing with my pounding heart. I glanced back, but the forest remained still, a silent guardian of its dark secrets. I stumbled to my car, locked the doors with trembling hands, the echo of their chants ringing in my ears. At the motel that night, as I lay awake, I heard the distant sound of chanting. Was it just my hallucinations? No. From the corner of my window, I saw a flicker of light. I sat up, heart racing, my eyes locked on that flicker. Slowly, the light grew brighter, closer. It wasn't just in my head. The forest was beckoning me back, the pyre still yearning for another soul. I might not escape. In the days that followed, I wrestled with the haunting images that invaded my thoughts, and I was left grappling with guilt and despair. Weeks later, a shattering news report sent chills down my spine. A body had been discovered near the remnants of the pyre. The woman I had seen, the one I had tried to save, had been brutally murdered. The town, steeped in ignorance and fear, had condemned her, and now she was just another ghost in the history of Salem's darkness. As I lay awake at night, the glow of the fire still flickering in my mind, I realized that the true horror of Salem was not merely in its past, but in the hearts of those in the present. The witch hunts were not a relic of history. They were a living nightmare, a cycle of fear that threatened to consume us all. The flames of that pyre still burned in my memory, a reminder that the shadows of our past are never far behind. And in the depths of those woods, I knew the witches were not merely stories. They were reflections of our darkest selves, waiting for another chance to rise from the ashes. Click the playlist in the top left corner for more dark tales. Who knows, maybe there's a pyre waiting for you.